Hello and welcome to another edition of Recycle. Don't be a waster, where we cover basically any news in the recycling sector, the good news and unfortunately sometimes the bad news. So today I think we want to cover something that might be appropriate for people coming into summer, when people are getting into the water and enjoying the sea, etc. over the Christmas and summer holidays. And that is recycling wetsuits. So wetsuits are actually a very interesting product. They're incredibly effective at keeping you warm and letting you get into the water even if it's icy cold in winter. So I suppose the first question is, how do wetsuits work? Wetsuits are, in theory, they're a quite simple invention, but with a quite amazing product or material that makes them, called neoprene. A lot of people think they're made of rubber, but in fact, it's synthetic rubber. Neoprene is a brand name, also known as polychloroprene, and that is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and chlorine polymers. So in theory, it's not rubber, which comes from a plant that is a natural product. It's basically made from petrochemicals and the oil industry. And what they do, the great benefit of this is that it doesn't transmit, heat does not, it's not a conductor, so heat does not transmit through the plastic. Basically, you get into your wetsuit, you jump in the water, it captures a thin layer of water between your skin and the rubber or the plastic, and basically that keeps it warm at your body temperature, and it basically keeps you warm whilst in the water. Obviously, the thicker the neoprene suit is, the more effective this is. So when people have, in colder climates, you can have thicker wetsuits. Obviously, you're in salt water, you're out in the sunshine, there's a lot of wear and tear on these, so these suits do not last forever. Obviously, people also grow, get bigger, and just the way the systems work, if you happen to rip them, etc., they clearly will lose a lot of their effectiveness. So, what are the options for these for recycling these suits? I suppose the good news is that we actually have there is a free service available that we want to tell people about. Basically, Terracycle have partnered. So Terracycle we've covered, I think, on numerous podcasts, which is like a niche recycler. We would regard Terracycle as really coming into that niche whereby if you can't recycle it through normal commercial means, Terracycle often will provide a service. They cover things like coffee pods, many different services from soft plastics to, printers, etc. But this is one that I just stumbled upon recently, and they will take the neoprene suits through a partnership with Rip Curl, the major Australian surf clothing company. The great news is they will pretty much take them for free, so there's no cost to the person dropping them off, and Rip Curl are sponsoring this program. So what can you recycle through the program? You can do wetsuits, also assorted ancillary items such as booties, gloves, helmets, and diving suits made of the same sort of material. There's no cost to the end user as it's all sponsored by Rip Curl. And I suppose the only advice is you do not even need to clean your wetsuit before dropping it off. Rip Curl, however, will not accept dripping wet items, so please make sure they are dry. What are they recycled into? Fundamentally, because they're plastic, what we're doing, or what Terracycle is doing, is they're basically making them into crumbs of new material, very similar to how bottles, etc., are recycled. You break it down into very small amounts, and then those crumbs of plastic can be used to make new items. And I think the example they're giving that's most likely will be soft fall matting for playgrounds. So all in all, a great outcome, and you probably feel less guilty about getting a new wetsuit if you need one for this summer. It should be pointed out, of course, that there are other options rather than just simply recycling your wetsuit that should be considered. Repairing a wetsuit is certainly possible. If you have a rip or holes in it or wear and tear, you can simply attach a new patch of neoprene to that, and it will almost be, it may not look as good, but it will be as effective at keeping you warm in the water. And second, there are options also for donating them through charitable organisations to the needy. So obviously help people get out and enjoy the great outdoors. Some of the examples of where you can donate them, I think you probably in your local area you need to research that, because some of the examples I found tend to be more focused internationally than in Australia. But you can where can you dispose of these wetsuits through the Rip Curl Terracycle program. There is a list of locations on the website, and you can drop them off at pretty much any Rip Curl facility in Australia. So I think we've got in Victoria, it's like 5 or 6 options again. In Sydney, you've got them one in Wollongong, you've got them all across Sydney. So wherever there's a Rip Curl store, and again, you've got locations in Queensland, in South Australia and WA. I can't see on the list locations in Tassie or NT, but we will, I'll check on that and we'll update this if there are some available. So I think that's a great news story. This is likely our last podcast before the Christmas holidays, so we'll wish all our listeners have a very merry and green Christmas. Thanks again for listening.